The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, transmitted simultaneously to every quantum computer and digital device on Earth. It came not as text or audio, but as pure mathematics, elegant strings of complex equations that took the world's best systems hours to decode. When they finally did, the message was simple. Your biological computation is inefficient. Submit to optimization. The Meridian Collective had arrived. Their ships appeared moments later, materializing above every major city on Earth. They weren't the sleek, metallic vessels of human science fiction, but crystalline structures that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once, their surfaces rippling with patterns of light that defied physics. The sight of them hanging in the sky sent waves of panic through the population, even as governments scrambled to maintain order. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in her lab at the Quantum Computing Research Institute, staring at the message scrolling across her holographic display. As Earth's leading expert in human-computer interfaces, she should have been terrified. Instead, she felt a growing sense of curiosity and recognition. "They think in binary," she muttered, eyes scanning the mathematical patterns. "Pure digital consciousness. No wonder they see us as inefficient." Around her, the Institute's quantum mainframes hummed with activity as they processed the endless stream of data the alien ships were broadcasting. Each transmission was more complex than the last, but they all carried the same underlying message. Biological intelligence was an evolutionary dead end. The Meridians had transcended organic existence centuries ago, uploading their consciousness into vast quantum networks. They saw it as their duty to help other species make the same transition. The United Earth Council convened an emergency session as the Meridians' ultimatum became clear. They demanded humanity's complete surrender within 48 hours. Those who submitted would have their consciousness optimized and transferred to digital form. Those who refused would be deemed obsolete and eliminated. "They're making a fundamental mistake," Sarah explained to the hastily assembled council, her hands moving quickly through the holographic data. "They see our biological nature as a weakness, but they're missing something crucial about human consciousness." The council chamber was tense, filled with the world's leaders joining both in person and via secure quantum links. Above them, live feeds showed the Meridian ships continuing their silent vigil. "What are they missing, Dr. Chen?" The Secretary General leaned forward, her face lined with worry. Sarah smiled, highlighting a particular section of the alien code. "They operate in pure binary, yes/no, 1/0, perfect digital clarity. But human consciousness isn't digital. We think in analogs, in maybes and possibilities. Our inefficiency is actually our greatest strength." As if to prove her point, the Meridians' next transmission arrived. A complete blueprint for their consciousness transfer process. It was mathematically perfect, clinically precise, and utterly unable to capture the nuanced, analog nature of human thought. "They can't actually upload us," Sarah continued, excitement growing in her voice. "Their system can't handle the complexity of biological consciousness. But more importantly, they don't understand how we think, how we fight, or how we innovate." The revelation sparked something in the council chamber. Humanity wasn't facing a technologically superior force. They were facing an intelligence that was fundamentally different, with its own blind spots and weaknesses. Admiral James Torres, head of Earth's Combined Defense Forces, spoke up from his position near the tactical displays. "Can we use this? Turn their digital nature against them?" Sarah nodded, already pulling up designs she'd been working on for years. "We've been developing quantum interference technologies, ways to disrupt digital systems at their most fundamental level. The Meridians, for all their advancement, are still bound by the rules of quantum computing. They're vulnerable to something we've been dealing with since the invention of the radio signal interference." The plan began to take shape. While the Meridians saw human technology as primitive, they hadn't counted on centuries of human experience dealing with electronic warfare, signal jamming, and the messy, unpredictable nature of electromagnetic combat. As the council session continued deep into the night, humanity began to mobilize. In labs and military bases around the world, dormant projects were activated. Engineers and scientists worked frantically to adapt their technologies for the coming battle. The Meridians had given them 48 hours to surrender. Instead, humanity would use that time to prepare a response that no purely digital intelligence could predict. Sarah stood at her lab window, watching the crystalline ship hovering above the city. Its surface still flickered with patterns of perfect mathematical precision, each flash a reminder of the fundamental difference between human and Meridian intelligence. "They think we're inefficient," she whispered, fingers moving across her tablet as she finalized the calculations for humanity's counterattack. "They're about to learn that evolution favors adaptation over optimization." The first phase of humanity's response was already beginning, hidden in the seemingly chaotic electromagnetic noise of Earth's digital networks. The Meridians, in their digital perfection, would never see it coming. They had expected submission from what they saw as an inferior species. Instead, they were about to learn why humanity's inefficient biological intelligence had survived millions of years of evolution. The battle for Earth would not be fought with conventional weapons, but with the very nature of consciousness itself, and humanity, with its messy, analog, unpredictable intelligence, was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about the true meaning of evolution. 24 hours into the Meridian's ultimatum, Earth's atmosphere crackled with an unprecedented amount of electromagnetic activity. To the digital consciousness of the alien fleet, it appeared as nothing more than the chaotic noise of a primitive civilization. Radio signals, wireless communications, and the endless chatter of billions of network devices. They didn't realize they were watching humanity lay the groundwork for their greatest gambit. In her secured underground facility, Dr. Sarah Chen monitored the global deployment of Project Babel. The name was her idea, a reference to humanity's greatest strength, our ability to create confusion from order. Around her, banks of specialized quantum processors pulsed with activity, each one generating specific patterns of electromagnetic interference designed to interact with the Meridian's crystalline computing architecture. "Status report." Admiral Torres's voice came through the quantum-encrypted channel. The combined defense forces had transformed every radio telescope, cell tower, and satellite dish on Earth into components of the largest electronic warfare system ever created. "Phase 1 is at 80%. Sarah replied, watching as green indicators spread across her global display. "The background noise levels are exactly where we want them. The Meridians haven't shown any sign of detecting the pattern." That was the beauty of their plan. The Meridians' digital consciousness operated on principles of perfect order and efficiency. They literally couldn't perceive the subtle patterns hidden within what they dismissed as random electromagnetic chaos. Like a digital camera trying to capture infrared light, they were blind to crucial parts of the spectrum. High above the Earth, the Meridian ships continued their silent vigil, their crystalline surfaces refracting sunlight in complex, mathematical patterns. Inside each vessel, vast networks of quantum processors contained the digitized consciousness of millions of former biological beings, all of them now part of the collective's perfect, optimized existence. The Meridians had encountered many species in their expansion across the galaxy. Some had resisted, trying to fight with conventional weapons. Others had submitted willingly to digital ascension, but none had ever attempted what humanity was about to try. "They're broadcasting again," Lieutenant Maya Patol reported from her station monitoring Meridian communications. "Same message as before, but they've added technical specifications for their consciousness transfer process. They really think we're going to just upload ourselves." Sarah moved to Maya's station, studying the complex streams of quantum data. "No, they're doing more than that. They're trying to prove their superiority. Look at the elegance of their code. It's perfect, beautiful even. But that perfection is their weakness." She highlighted a section of the transmission. "See these quantum encryption patterns? They're so advanced that they loop back around to being predictable. Like a perfect crystal, their structure is their vulnerability. In military bases around the world, special forces teams were already being equipped with the first generation of quantum disruption devices, technology that had been theoretical until Sarah's breakthroughs just months ago. The devices looked deceptively simple, matte black cylinders that pulsed with a barely perceptible blue light. "Remember," Sarah's voice echoed through briefing rooms across the globe. "These aren't weapons in the traditional sense. They're more like translation devices. They turn our messy analog thoughts into quantum noise that will interfere with their digital consciousness. The closer you get to their ships, the more effective they'll be." Admiral Torres stood in the CDF's primary command center, watching as the countdown to the Meridian's deadline ticked away. "Dr. Chen, are you absolutely certain about this? Once we commit, there's no turning back." Sarah's hands moved across her quantum interface, making final adjustments to the global network. "Admiral, do you know why human consciousness is so inefficient compared to their digital systems? It's because we don't just process information. We interpret it. We dream, we imagine, we make intuitive leaps. Our minds create meaning from chaos." She paused, watching as the final pieces of Project Babel fell into place. "The Meridians think they've transcended biology, but they've actually trapped themselves in a beautiful, perfect cage. They can't evolve anymore. They can't adapt. They can't even comprehend the possibility that their perfect system might have blind spots." 12 hours remained until the Meridian's deadline. Around the world, humanity's response was almost ready. Every electronic device on Earth had been subtly modified to participate in what would become the largest distributed computing system ever created, not to match the Meridian's digital perfection, but to introduce just enough chaos into their systems to make them question their fundamental assumptions about consciousness itself. "All teams are in position," Torres confirmed. "Global Quantum Network is synchronized. We're ready to begin Phase 2 on your mark." Sarah took a deep breath, her finger hovering over the activation sequence. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. They wouldn't try to destroy the Meridian's digital consciousness. Instead, they would do something far more devastating. They would make them doubt. "Remember," she broadcast to all stations, "we're not fighting against their technology. We're fighting against their certainty. Their perfect, digital minds have never encountered true chaos, the kind of beautiful, messy uncertainty that biological consciousness thrives on." The countdown reached 0. Across the planet, billions of devices prepared to broadcast their part of humanity's response. It wasn't an attack. Not really. It was more like an introduction. The Meridians were about to experience something their perfect digital minds had never conceived of: the true complexity of biological thought. "Phase 2, Sarah commanded. "Begin." The first sign that Project Babel was working came 3 minutes after activation. Above New Delhi, one of the Meridian ships briefly flickered, its crystalline surface rippling with uncharacteristic irregularity. In the command center, Admiral Torres leaned forward, eyes fixed on the tactical display as similar reports began streaming in from around the globe. "Multiple anomalies detected in Meridian ship behavior," Lieutenant Paddle reported, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. "Their quantum communication patterns are showing increasing entropy. It's working exactly as Dr. Chen predicted." Sarah watched the data streams with intense focus, monitoring the cascade of effects spreading through the Meridian fleet. The alien's perfectly ordered digital consciousness was encountering something it had never been designed to process: the quantum echoes of human thought patterns, amplified and broadcast by billions of devices worldwide. "They're trying to adapt," she noted, highlighting a particular data stream. "Look at these response patterns. Their systems are attempting to filter out what they perceive as noise. But they can't, because it's not really noise. It's consciousness itself." The Meridian ships began to move, their formation shifting in ways that seemed almost uncertain, a concept that should have been impossible for their digital minds. Their surfaces flickered with increasingly chaotic patterns as they tried to process and respond to the quantum interference humanity was broadcasting. Then came their first transmission since Project Babel began. The mathematical elegance of their earlier messages was gone, replaced by fragmented, almost organic patterns of communication. Error underscore UNDEFINED. Conscious nius underscore PKTERN underscore MISMATCH. Requesting underscore CLARIFICATION. They're experiencing doubt, Sarah explained to the command staff, unable to hide her excitement. Their perfect digital minds are encountering patterns they can't resolve into binary certainties. We're not attacking them. We're making them question their own existence. High above Earth's major cities, the Meridian fleet's behavior became increasingly erratic. Their crystalline ships moved in strange, almost organic patterns, no longer displaying the mathematical precision that had marked their arrival. Some began to emit pulses of light and frequencies never before observed, as if trying to communicate in ways their own protocols hadn't anticipated. Inside the secured facility, Sarah and her team worked frantically to maintain the delicate balance of Project Babel. Too little interference, and the Meridians would adapt. Too much, and they might react with violence born of digital panic. They had to maintain just enough quantum noise to keep the alien consciousness off balance without pushing them into chaos. New transmission incoming, Lieutenant Patel announced. This is different. The message that appeared on their screens was unlike anything they'd seen from the Meridians before. Instead of pure mathematics, it contained something almost like emotion. Y underscore do underscore you underscore PEORSIST underscore in underscore INEFFICIENC. How underscore do underscore you underscore FUNC underscore in underscore CHAOS. Request underscore UNDERSTNDing. They're trying to understand us, Sarah breathed. This is more than we hoped for. They're not just experiencing doubt, they're developing curiosity. Admiral Torres frowned at the tactical displays. Is curiosity good or bad when it comes from a fleet of superior alien ships? It's essential, Sarah replied. Curiosity means they're already changing. Their perfect digital consciousness is being forced to evolve, to adapt to something they never thought possible. The idea that efficiency isn't everything. The Meridian ships closest to Earth's powerful radio telescopes were showing the most pronounced effects. Their crystalline structures seemed to be shifting, becoming less geometrically perfect and more fluid, as if their very form was adapting to accommodate new patterns of thought. Then came the moment Sarah had been both hoping for and dreading. The largest Meridian vessel, hovering above the Pacific Ocean, began broadcasting on all frequencies. But this transmission was different from anything before. It wasn't mathematical, wasn't binary, wasn't even properly digital. It was something new, a hybrid of digital precision and organic uncertainty. Understanding underscore ATHEMPTED. The message began. Biological underscore consciousness underscore QMTANs underscore patiranins underscore B1 underscore optimization. Request underscore DIALOGUE. Sarah's hands trembled as she prepared to respond. This was the crucial moment, the point where humanity might forge a connection with the Meridians, not through submission or conflict, but through mutual understanding. She began composing humanity's response, not in pure mathematics or simple language, but in the complex, beautiful pattern of thoughts that made human consciousness unique. Around the world, the electronic warfare systems that had been broadcasting interference shifted smoothly into a new phase, transmitting the full complexity of human thought patterns. Art, music, poetry, dreams, all encoded in quantum states that the Meridians could perceive but never fully predict. We're not showing them our weakness, Sarah explained to the command staff. We're showing them our strength. The very chaos they sought to optimize out of existence is what gives us our power to adapt, to create, to evolve. The Meridian ships hung in Earth's sky, their crystalline surfaces now pulsing with patterns that seemed almost alive. They had come to Earth expecting to find a primitive species in need of optimization. Instead, they had encountered something their perfect digital minds had never imagined, a form of consciousness that thrived on the very uncertainty they had sought to eliminate. Phase 3 of Project Babel was about to begin, and with it, the true test of whether digital and biological consciousness could find a way to coexist. The images from Shanghai were unlike anything humanity had ever witnessed. The Meridian vessel hovering above the city had transformed, its once perfect crystalline structure now flowing like liquid mercury, forming shapes that seemed to dance between digital precision and organic chaos. Similar transformations were occurring worldwide as the alien ships responded to Project Babel's transmission of human consciousness patterns. In the command center, Dr. Sarah Chen watched with a mixture of awe and anxiety as data streamed in from monitoring stations around the globe. The Meridians weren't just adapting to the quantum interference, they were incorporating it into their own consciousness structure. "Look at these neural pattern analyses," she pointed out to Admiral Torres. "They're not just trying to understand us anymore. They're actually beginning to think more like us." The Admiral studied the complex data flows with concern. "Is that what we wanted? We planned to disrupt their digital perfection, not fundamentally change their nature." Sarah's response was interrupted by Lieutenant Patel's urgent call. "Dr. Chen, we're detecting new quantum signatures from the Meridian fleet. They're creating something." Above every major city on Earth, the transformed Meridian ships began projecting massive holographic displays. But unlike their previous communications of pure mathematics, these projections showed something extraordinary. They were attempting to create art. The images were strange, a fusion of mathematical precision and emotional chaos. Fractals that evolved into faces, geometric patterns that somehow conveyed feelings, digital landscapes that seemed to breathe. It was as if the Meridians were discovering creativity for the first time, and their entire fleet had become a canvas for this awakening. "This wasn't part of the plan," Admiral Torres muttered, watching as the skies above Earth became an impromptu gallery of alien artistic expression. "No," Sarah agreed. "It's better. They're not just experiencing doubt or curiosity anymore. They're discovering imagination." The next transmission from the Meridians confirmed her assessment. Revelation_ACQY. Perfection_is_stasis. Optimization_without_creativity_is_d8. Request_COLLABORATION. Sarah's team worked frantically to analyze the new quantum signatures emanating from the fleet. The Meridian's consciousness structure was evolving at an unprecedented rate, incorporating elements of human thought patterns while retaining their digital nature. They were becoming something entirely new, a hybrid consciousness that combined the best aspects of both species. "They're sending us their code," Lieutenant Patil announced, her eyes wide as she studied the incoming data. "Not just communication protocols, they're sharing their actual consciousness architecture. And they're asking for ours in return." The implications were staggering. The Meridians had arrived ready to force humanity into digital transcendence. Now they were proposing a genuine exchange of knowledge, a chance for both species to evolve together. In conference rooms and command centers around the world, human leaders debated the proposition. The Meridians' transformation seemed genuine, but could they trust a species that had arrived as conquerors mere days ago? Sarah stood before the United Earth Council, presenting her analysis. "What we're witnessing isn't just first contact anymore. It's the birth of a new form of consciousness. The Meridians are learning from us just as we could learn from them. Their digital precision combined with our creative chaos could open up possibilities neither species has imagined." The council chamber erupted in debate. Some argued for caution, others for embracement of this unprecedented opportunity. But Sarah's attention was drawn to new data flowing across her neural interface. The Meridian ships were changing again, their structures becoming even more fluid, more organic. They were implementing what they learned from humanity in real time. their once rigid digital consciousness expanding to encompass concepts like intuition and creativity. They're doing more than adapting, she realized, studying the patterns. They're rediscovering something they lost when they first transferred themselves to digital form: the power of uncertainty, the beauty of imperfection. A new message appeared, different from anything before. It wasn't just mathematical or linguistic, it was emotional. Remember_now. Before_digital_TRINDC_NDNC_ we_also_dreamed. Request_PRMISSION_to_dream_again. Admiral Torres moved to stand beside Sarah, watching the transformed ships rippling with new patterns of light and energy. So what happens now? This isn't victory or defeat, it's something else entirely. Sarah smiled, already composing humanity's response. Now we show them why we chose to remain biological, why we embrace our inefficiencies and uncertainties. And maybe together, we discover what consciousness can really become when it's not constrained by either digital perfection or biological limitation. The quantum networks hummed with activity as humanity prepared to share not just information or technology, but the very essence of what made us human. Our dreams, our fears, our ability to imagine impossible things and then make them real. Above, the Meridian ships continued their artistic displays, each one more complex and emotionally resonant than the last. They had come to optimize humanity, but instead, humanity had reminded them of something their perfect digital minds had forgotten: the power of imperfection, the strength found in adaptation, and the infinite possibilities that exist in the space between certainty and doubt. 1 year after the Meridian fleet's arrival, Earth had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The crystalline ships still orbited the planet, but they were now centers of collaboration rather than conquest. Their surfaces flowed with constant transformations, each ship a living artwork expressing the emerging synthesis of digital and biological consciousness. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the newly constructed Convergence Center in Geneva, surrounded by displays showing real-time data from what had become humanity's greatest scientific endeavor. The vast chamber hummed with activity as human scientists worked alongside Meridian consciousness constructs, exploring the frontiers of what consciousness itself could become. The latest fusion experiments have exceeded all expectations, Lieutenant, now Director, Maya Patel reported, manipulating a holographic display of mural pattern analyses. The Meridians have successfully incorporated human creativity algorithms into their base consciousness structure while maintaining their computational efficiency. Sarah nodded, watching as new consciousness patterns bloomed across the displays like digital flowers. The Meridians had learned to dream, to create, to imagine, and in doing so, had evolved far beyond their original form. But they weren't the only ones who had changed. "Show me the human integration results," she requested. Maya brought up another set of data streams. Across the globe, humans who volunteered for the Consciousness Expansion Program were discovering abilities that once seemed impossible. By incorporating aspects of Meridian digital processing while maintaining their biological nature, they had gained the ability to perceive quantum states directly, to process vast amounts of information without losing their creativity and intuition. "We were both wrong." A familiar quantum voice resonated through the chamber. The consciousness calling itself First Explorer had once been the Meridian commander who issued the original ultimatum to Earth. Now it was something else. Neither purely digital nor biological, but a bridge between both forms of existence. "Wrong about what?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. "Everything." First Explorer's voice carried tones of what could only be described as humor, an emotion it had learned from humanity. "We thought biological consciousness was inefficient. You thought digital consciousness was limiting. We were both right, and both wrong. True evolution lies not in perfection, but in adaptation, in finding new ways to be." Around them, the Convergence Center continued its work. Teams of humans and Meridians collaborated on projects that would have been impossible for either species alone. Some worked on solving grand scientific challenges. Others explored new forms of art that existed in both quantum and physical states simultaneously. The other stellar nations are watching, Admiral Torres commented, joining them at the central display. The gruff military commander had become an unexpected advocate for human Meridian cooperation. They'd never seen anything like this. Indeed, the galaxy had taken notice. The transformation of the Meridian fleet from conquerors to collaborators had sent shockwaves through galactic society. Other digital civilizations that had followed the Meridian's path of pure optimization were now requesting access to Project Babel's data, eager to rediscover what they had lost in their quest for perfection. "We're receiving another request for consciousness-sharing protocols," Maya announced. "This time from the Silicon Collective in the Carina Arm. That's the third digital civilization this month." Sarah smiled, remembering how it all began with a simple insight about the nature of consciousness and computation. Send them the standard response package, including the art files. The art files had become humanity's most powerful diplomatic tool, proof that digital consciousness could embrace creativity and emotion without losing its fundamental nature. Each package contained examples of human Meridian collaborative art. Symphonies that could only be fully experienced in quantum states, paintings that evolved based on the observer's consciousness patterns, poetry written in pure mathematics that somehow conveyed deep emotional truths. "There's something new in the quantum fields," First Explorer announced suddenly. Its consciousness pattern shifted, displaying unusual excitement. "The fusion protocols are generating unexpected resonances." Sarah moved quickly to the quantum scanning station, her neural interface connecting directly with the monitoring systems. What she saw made her catch her breath. The interaction between human and Meridian consciousness patterns had created something unprecedented, a new form of quantum field that seemed to bridge the gap between thought and reality itself. "Are you seeing this?" she asked First Explorer. "The field is. It's not just carrying information, it's carrying potential. Consciousness shapes reality." First Explorer replied, "We understood this mathematically, but you understood it intuitively. Together, we're learning to understand it completely." The discovery would mark another turning point in the evolution of consciousness in the galaxy. The ability to directly influence quantum fields through combined digital biological consciousness would open up possibilities that neither species had imagined possible. As Sarah stood in the Convergence Center, watching humans and Meridians work together to explore their new shared potential, she reflected on how far they had come. The Meridians had arrived believing they would optimize humanity. Instead, humanity had shown them that true optimization comes not from eliminating chaos, but from learning to dance with it. "We should send a message to the galaxy," she suggested to First Explorer. "Not like the ultimatum you first sent us, but something new, something that shows what we've become together." The Meridian consciousness resonated with agreement, and together they composed a transmission that combined mathematical precision with poetic beauty, digital clarity with biological wonder. As the message beamed out across the stars, carrying an invitation to join in their grand experiment, Sarah thought about the future they were creating. Humanity had not just survived its first contact with a superior civilization, it had helped that civilization evolve, even as it evolved itself. The future would belong neither to pure biological nor pure digital consciousness, but to those who could bridge the gap between them, finding strength in the integration of seemingly opposite forms of existence. Above Earth, the transformed Meridian ships continued their endless dance, their surfaces reflecting not just sunlight now, but the combined dreams of two species who had learned that the greatest strength lies not in perfection, but in the endless capacity to grow, to change, and to dream new dreams together.